to come forward and sit down here up front. If any parents want to come with your little ones, you're welcome as well. Before we get started, just a little reminder to our friends. Big friends help our little friends. Let's all get our littles out real still, because I have a secret for you. When you're up here, your parents are back there a little worried. They're a little worried. They're holding their breaths and they're hoping you're going to be under best behavior, and I know you will because you always do, right? Okay. All right, so let's get started with today's lesson. When I first read today's gospel reading, I was like, what? Chickens and hens and foxes and kings wanting to kill Jesus? It's like Old McDonald's farm gone wild. And this is what I'm supposed to teach? And I'm supposed to teach it to children? Well, I sure got my work cut out for me, don't I? And I have my problems too. Then I realized, hey, kids can relate to this stuff because it's like straight out of a movie or a comic book or something cool like that. It's good guys and it's bad guys and it's some really exciting stuff, right? Well, let's start with the bad guy, King Herod. Actually, if you want to be technical, it was probably King Herod's son, King Antipas. But when you get so many bad guys and they all have the same name, you kind of forget who it is, right? Anyway, there's this bad guy, King Herod, and he probably looks something like this. Now, this is a picture out of a recent movie, but that kind of gives you an idea of what he looked like. So King Herod had been doing a lot of talking about Jesus, and I think Jesus made him very, very jealous. Herod was a king, and he was supposed to be powerful, and people were supposed to listen to him and do powerful things and all the things he wanted them to do, but instead people started following Jesus and the rules of God instead of the rules of the king. So how do you think King Herod felt about that? You think he was sad, mad, enraged? That's a great word. He was probably jealous and mad, and he was starting to talk about hurting Jesus. So some of the Pharisees, do you know who Pharisees are? They're very important people who always follow the written law. They're stuffy and smart, and they think they know everything. Well, they went to warn Jesus, and it was a pretty good warning because, you know, Herod, he was a really bad guy. Can't even kill Jesus' cousin, John the Baptizer, or John the Baptist. And he was not a guy that people messed with. So I wonder, what would you do if someone like Herod was after you? What would you do? You would tell your parents, good idea. Good idea. You know what I would do? I would do what you would do. I would run. I would run as fast as I could the other way. Oh man, would I run. Well, let me tell you what Jesus did. He didn't run. And he didn't stop what he was doing and try to hurt the king. He just sent this message. He said, tell him I am very busy. I am in the middle of healing sick people and doing God's work in all kinds of important stuff. And tell him, I'm going to finish my work here, and then I will go to Jerusalem. Wow. Jesus was so brave. He was like the superhero of our story. And you know what's even more brave? Jesus knew that when he went to Jerusalem, bad things were going to happen. He knew all of that, and he still said, when I'm finished here, I will go to Jerusalem. So why is this story important to us? Well, it's important to us because there's times in our life that we have to be brave too. Too often we let fear make decisions in our life instead of being brave. Don't worry, it's not just you, your parents, they do it all the time. We often live in fear of people who are different from us. We have fears that things that are important to us will be taken away. We have fears that we're not good enough at things. We have a fear of dying. And those are all real things, and those are all scary things for you and your parents. And because of this, adults do all kinds of crazy things. They write contracts for jobs, for services, for marriages. They have contracts with insurance companies to make sure all their things will be taken care of, and contracts called wills so that when they die, they have the last word of everything that's going to happen to all of their stuff. And you kids might do silly things too. How many of you hide your most special toys so your brothers and sisters can't get to them? Or maybe you only play with kids on the playground that are the same as you because you don't want anybody to make fun of you. But today's story teaches us something very important. Through the actions of Jesus, we learn that fear does not win. Bravery wins. And love wins. Always.
Excuse me. Hello. Excuse me.
Do you guys hear something? Is someone talking?
Yes, over here. Hello. It's me, Herman. Hey kids, I shake your hand, but, well...
Yeah, so what can we do for you today, Herman?
Well, you see, I was back here just hanging out. You know, us puppets, we just kind of, we hang out, you know, until someone gives us a hand.
Yes, Herman, and I get it, but anyway, they only give me so long up here, so maybe no jokes.
Okay, well, I was just hanging.
Herman!
I was just back here listening and thinking, you know, I love a good comic book story. Good guys, bad guys, the good guys always are so brave. It always ends up so well. They get the pretty girl.
Herman, no, not about pretty girls today.
Oh, no? Not the pretty girl?
No, we're in church.
Okay, well, then I have a question. What does this have to do with me? I mean, I could never be that brave. I'm really got fear. Oh yes, I am. I'm afraid of all sorts of things, like the dark and spiders.
Oh, that's okay, Herman. We're all afraid of things.
And scary movies, and loud noises, and getting in trouble, and dogs, and cheese,
And cheese! Wait a minute. Let's focus here, Herman. Oh, it's okay. Lots of us are afraid of things. I bet these boys and girls here are afraid of things too, aren't you? What kind of things are you guys afraid of? Spiders? Lightning? Anybody else? Well, being forced off a cliff? Okay. We'll see, Herman. We're all afraid of something.
Well then, how can all us scaredy cats be brave like Jesus? How? It's just impossible.
Oh, it's not impossible, Herman. Listen. At the end of today's gospel reading, it says Jesus wants to gather all of us under his arms like a mother hen and protect us. And guess what? We still have that protection today. He wants us to do brave things just like he did. And he wants us to know that when we do it, he will always take care of us. He loves us that much.
Wow! Well, if you put it that way, if it means I'm never doing it alone, hey, maybe I can be brave. Okay, let me at him. Show me where to go.
What? At who? Wait. Where are you going?
I'm going to be brave. That's where I'm going. I want to do it right now.
Well, that's not exactly how it works.
Oh.
But don't sound so disappointed, Herman. You have opportunities to practice being brave all the time. You just have to pay attention to what's going on around you. Let me tell you a story. Okay, now listen, boys and girls, because this might help you be brave too. Sometimes being brave is hard. Sometimes being brave is so scary. I once knew a little boy that got made fun of at school every single day. His name was Sean. He learned different from other people. Sometimes he acted a little different from other people, and people were very mean to him. Every day I went to school, I saw people teasing him, and I didn't know what to do. I was so scared inside, but my heart hurt for him. And I think that hurting part of my heart, I think that was the Holy Spirit talking to me. Have you ever felt like that, kids? That feeling in your heart that tells you something isn't right? That maybe it's time for you to be brave?
I have! I felt that before. Stories like the one you're telling happen in my school all the time.
They do? Do they ever happen at your school, kids? Well, if they haven't, they might one day. And what do you think you should do if you see something like that happening? What should you do if there's lots of mean people teasing one kid who's all alone?
Help him.
Help him. What else? How are you going to help him? Stand up for him. Don't join in. Very good. Tell a teacher. That's right. All of those are very brave things to do. And I know it's so scary to take that step. But when you feel that tug at your heart, when you know that something just isn't right, it's a good reminder that we can be brave like Jesus too.
Yes, brave! We can be superheroes. Woo-hoo!
And you know what? Sometimes your parents need to remember this lesson too. Sometimes they need to be brave enough to do grown-up things, like love people even when they get nothing in return. Or forgive, even if that means forgiving somebody who hasn't asked for an apology. Or trust. Trust is a hard one for parents. Sometimes we don't want to know. Sometimes we don't want people to know that we have lots of fears. And that's okay to have lots of fears. Because you know what's silly? Sometimes admitting you have lots of fears is the brave thing to do. Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that!
Well, Herman, I think it's time to move on with the rest of our service. I'm so glad that you joined us today. Boys and girls, thank you so much for helping me with the lesson. In just a minute, you may return to your seats to be with your parents.
Bye, fellow superheroes. Go out, be brave.
Yes, friends, go out.